Hello, I'm Ty Segall, and this is Records in My Life. Life.
Thank you so much for being on Records in My Life, Ty. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
And how's the tour going so far?
It's good. Yeah, it's good. No complaints. Everybody's been very nice.
So let's talk about the show's called Records in My Life. So let's talk a bit about Love Rudiments. I was actually listening to it last night, and it's kind of full circle, right? Because you drumming, which I didn't know, drums are your favorite. If I'm correct.
Yeah, I'd say they're my favorite thing to play. Yeah, first thing I learned how to play.
Tell me about the inspiration, what really motivated you. It's a great, trippy, wonderful sounding record.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly, what was the seed that got planted or, the original idea, but, I've always been a really big fan of, jazz and kind of out instrumental music and soundtracks and the kind of language that instrumental music inherently has, where you can tell a story without words, without lyrics. And for me, the only instrument I could really do that on, in like a fluid way, is the drums. So I just kind of felt like, I've always wanted to do that. And so Matt Littlejohn, my sound man, he and I were like, let's try to do it. And then during the pandemic, it was like, well, perfect timing. I had a home studio, and the whole idea was just percussion instruments. I like setting up rules sometimes. Sometimes it's counterproductive. Sometimes it's more interesting. Who knows?
Were there any records though that were there's like a tipping point, or that you had that moment and said, like, I know you said you had the plans maybe to make that record, but you were listening to like Billy Cobham or John Bonham or
No.
that kind of like, I want to fucking play a record with percussion and Tim and all these drums.
Yeah, well, so many great jazz records, that aren't, just drums. But I remember, Brown Rice, Don Cherry, or like Tony Williams' Lifetime, and Miles, like Alice Coltrane, Ornette Coleman, all the classic stuff that's like instrumental. So I talk to some people that don't get that stuff, and they're like, there's too much stuff going on. And I'm like, yeah, but it's cool because you get to like find... You have to go deep inside of it to find, interesting. There's so much to like figure out. So my mind is just trying to figure it out all the time. So I kind of wanted to make something that was like that where you couldn't latch on to the lyrics and be like, oh, that's the meaning, obviously, because it's the words. You have to kind of dive a little deeper. I don't know.
I got a question, so I'm going to put you on the spot again here. Was there ever a Zen moment where you second guessed yourself and said, like, I mean, as we said before, you've been on tons of records and you've collaborated, but a record you put on and you just kind of second guessed yourself and said, wow, it completely like blew you away from a sonics point of view and from a technical point of view.
There's a lot. I remember, first hearing Raw Power, Stooges, White Light, White Heat by the Velvets, maybe rethink everything. Love Forever Changes, that one took a minute, but now that's arguably my favorite record of all time, depending on the day. That one changed my life fundamentally. Forever Changes. That's like Holy Grail. I think Arthur Lee is the guy. But that one was like, oh, I thought this was supposed to rip harder. This isn't a loud, crazy band. What is this? And then by the 10th time I listened to it, I was like, this is the best record of all time. And those are the best records because they get you to, you know, your brain changes. Your brain opens up a little more. Maybe you grow. Maybe, you know, it makes your ears grow, the depth of your hearing, something, whatever. But there's so many like funk and soul, and I'm like a total freak when it comes to like the technical stuff too. So I'm always like hearing like, oh damn, that drum sound, holy shit. I gotta get better at recording the snare. It's all about the snare. Every week I'm like, oh, the damn kick drum. How'd they get that damn kick drum sound? So it's all over the place. I'm all over the place.
It's funny. We have a producer, her cameraman, who's a producer as well, and he's just like, he's completely relating to 100% of what you're saying. He's like, that's why he's laughing, because he gets it. He spends like 18 hours a day behind a soundboard, so he kind of understands your thing too. But I wanted to ask you, since Oscar season is coming up, and your Love Rudiments is very soundtracky, if I can use that word.
Sure.
Do you have a favorite soundtrack or two? Which
Yeah. Well, there's a cool Decline of Western Civilization Part 1 is a cool like punk soundtrack. That movie's pretty cool, especially when I was like, 16 or whatever. It was pretty cool. I mean, Blade Runner is pretty sweet. I'm a big Vangelis fan. I'm a big Aphrodite's Child fan. His band before he went solo. Demis Roussos, again, one of the best singers of all time. It's like Rock and Roll High School is pretty cool.
Ramones, sure. That's a great one.
And then Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and a lot of the kind of Western soundtracks. Yeah. I love that stuff. And then it's like, man, all of the horror soundtracks are pretty great,
And since we are in Canada, getting back to that, give us a couple of your favorite Canadian records.
Well, you know what? I'm going to say Neil. I'm going to cheat and say Neil. Neil's... I got a Neil tattoo. He's a big deal for me. So if I would have to say my favorite Neil record, controversial, because... I don't know. I always go back to After the Gold Rush. Such a good one. I mean, when I was like a kid, it was Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere, because that one's like the rocker. But After the Gold Rush is great. And I really like On the Beach a lot.
If you could go back in time and be a fly on the wall in the studio for a record being recorded...
Funhouse, 100%, the whole time. I think that's the best sounding record ever.
Going into your youth, the first record you bought with your paper route savings.
First record I bought was I bought a lot of dollar records, and I don't know if that counts.
Of course it does.
Well, so I bought If You Want Blood, You Got It. AC/DC record, live record, and I bought like Cream, Wheels of Fire, and for $1, and then but the first record I bought that was like any real amount of money was there Cramp, Songs the Lord Taught Us on the wall, and it was $15. But I was like, damn, $15. I'm not gonna eat lunch for 4 days.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. Alex Chilton produced there.
Alex Chilton.
Last time I'm gonna put you on the spot, I promise. But God Records, give us a couple because there's so many great.
Well, we reissued the first White Fence record, and that record's great. The band Flatworms is great. All the Flatworms records are really good. Shameless plug for my band Freckle. We just put that out. It's a really cool comp. Folding Records, which is Mike Donovan. He was the leader of the Sick Alps and Piecers and does solo records, and he had this cassette label in the like late 90s in San Francisco, and that's some pretty like far out stuff.
We're on to the speed round. You've been a real sport, Ty. Thanks. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Weed, water, or wine to write or listen to your favorite record?
Wine, for sure. A glass of Pinot. A bottle of Pinot, excuse me.
Coffee with an artist. If you could have a cup of coffee with an artist.
Alive or dead?
Alive or dead. Yeah.
Anybody? Oh, that's hard. Okay, George Clinton in like 72. Pretty cool. And I'd be like, take me on the mothership, man. I want to get out here.
That's fantastic. There's a great story about him playing in Vancouver, but I'll tell you off camera. Maybe
Okay.
it's too. I don't want to get sued or anything. Records of your high school year. Record of your high school years.
Okay, well, I was thinking about it in the car today, and one of my favorite records was this comp, No New York, that I got me into like the Contortions and Liquid and DNA and ESG and Mars, and that was cool. I like that one a lot. But I'd say like, I don't know, Black Sabbath, Master of Reality, Alice Cooper, Love It to Death, Black Flag, First 4 Years.
Words of wisdom for your fans and our audience.
Man, life is short. Just try to do fun stuff and do good stuff. I don't know. It's not so complicated.
The show is really nothing without you. So please like or subscribe or check out our Patreon. And this year we've switched it up, and you can win a record just for leaving a comment. Thank you again, and we love you. Peace.